How good is he?
Oh man, unbelievable player. Like I had the pleasure of watching him at Villa Park not too long ago, and like the pace and the cleverness of his runs and the timing of his dribbles and the tempo. The way he's attracting the fullbacks to come out and he's not going down in terms of, he's riding those challenges out and trying to get fullbacks isolated 1v1, and I just love the intensity that he has, but the fact that he's willing to cut in, and then I mean that shot that he scored at that near post was just a phenomenal strike, and he's just a really enjoyable player to watch at the minute. Like every single day, there's energy, there's enthusiasm, but he's such a talent.
Yeah. And they've got, as we said, such a threat on the right with Saka, and Martinelli, back to the Martinelli that we saw at the beginning of the season, because he did have a little dip, but last couple of games he's been outstanding, hasn't he?
And I think that the Trossard signing was very much a kick in the back a bit for Martinelli, saying, hang on, your place is not guaranteed anymore. And look, Trossard can come in, you can be on the bench, and Martinelli was on the bench. And I think that had a positive impact on Martinelli. He was like, okay, you know what, maybe, I need to go back to what I used to do before. And obviously, him coming on against Villa, and you were there and kind of changing the game in a way, and certainly scoring that very important goal at the end, and then scoring the winner at Leicester was a very big goal for them to again build on that incredible win at Villa Park, and then he was outstanding against Everton, really.
And you'd assume they would both start. Obviously, the injury to Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus working his way back a bit, and that would be like a new signing almost, wouldn't it, mid-season to have him back, in Thomas Partey as well. They have got a big squad. I mean, a lot of people say it's not big enough, but there is still depth there.
Yeah, no, I think they've hit a good run of form in terms of when people are coming back from injury as well. I think they did really miss Partey when he was out injured. I think he picked up that, was it a rib injury against City? Yeah. And I think it was a big miss, but, Jorginho stepped in really nicely and obviously smashed home that banger, top bins against Villa. And that was a big moment for Arsenal to come back and show that resilience. But the squad, I'm pretty impressed with how they've recovered from that dip. They really have a lot of belief, and frankly, I just think they have missed Jesus, but Jesus, sorry. Yeah. But I think ultimately, Nketiah, when he's come on, he's struggled at times to obviously convert, but I think they found other ways as well. I think Trossard, to your point, has been absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
In terms of this game, though, against Bournemouth at home, how different is the pressure? And you've been in these shoes with Manchester City when everyone just assumes you're going to win. It's a different type, right?
Yeah, no, I suppose. I mean, Gary O'Neill didn't look very confident in that press conference. He kind of almost looked a bit defeated before they even started, if I'm being completely honest. And I think he knows that he's got a big task ahead of him. But yeah, I think from a player's perspective, when you're expected to go there and absolutely just take a team apart, there is an element of, making sure that you don't take your foot off the gas and making sure you do the things, the basic things really well. But I don't see this being an issue for Arsenal at all.
And they have got some tricky games, right? We saw what they've got upcoming. Fulham away is not an easy game for them, Jules, but they go to Fulham, they go to Liverpool, they go to Manchester City, and they go to Newcastle. And that's the difference between them and City. They have them away from home.
Yeah, and City have the same fixtures, but at home for most of them. And Chelsea will go to the Emirates. This is really the only home game against one of the big clubs. So they will have to deal with that. They've been excellent at home this season, really. The game against City was, okay, they played well, they lost. They lost against a team that is amazing was amazing on that day. But apart from that, it's a way that they would have to go and get that title, if they get it. They will have to go to City and play with a lot of confidence. And by then, I think the end of April, the table might look differently. But they will have to go there and to Liverpool. And like you said, there's a lot of tough places for them to travel. And that's where that's the champions. If you want to be a champions, this is where you have to go and play like champions.
Yeah. But for me, I think Xhaka's been a fantastic standout for me this year. In terms of his running, getting forward, he's finding really great spaces. I mean, Everton was a perfect example this midweek where they were just dropping off, they're a bit sloppy, and this mentality that Arsenal have to be ready for any sort of turnover transition and play quickly. The overloads in the midfield, forcing teams to be narrow and then playing wide. They have so many threats, and it's fascinating to watch.
What about Bournemouth? Because there's a lot of pressure on Gary O'Neill, and they've actually been in the worst form in the Premier League, Jules, since the World Cup finished. Yeah,
I mean, he did really well when he came in and replaced Scott Parker as an interim coach, and then was given the job, and I think rightly so at the time. It's difficult for them. They concede a lot, and they defensive players, for example.
But look at that table, Jules. They're not out the picture, are they?
No, completely.
No
not.
one is
we
there.
said, yeah, no, we've said between them and I think Forest in 12th or 13th, everything is still possible. Everybody can go down. It's so tight, but they need to score goals. Solanke, Ouattara, who they signed from France, from Lorient in France, had a good impact in his first 2 games, but they need more. They need more defensively as well. And I think they need to believe that they can get out, go to Arsenal and get something. Against City, for example, we knew before last weekend, we were together on Friday, we knew where they were going to get battered, and they got battered. And you felt like they didn't really have the belief that they could cause problems.
You could see that. You can absolutely see that when you're watching the game. Like, as soon as they concede one, the head's down, body language changes. It looks like they're defeated. I mean, kind of similar to what Gary O'Neill looked like.